Hey everyone, my name is David Rao and I'm the music teacher who blogs at makemomentsmatter.org. You can also find my ideas on Instagram, on Facebook, on Pinterest, Twitter, and a variety of other places when you search for my name, David Rao, or Make Moments Matter Music Education. I'm so excited to share with you all my carefully made plans for school this week. Oh wait, no. School has been called off for so many of us, and I feel like there are so many folks who are freaking out and planning and thinking and what do I do and trying to come up with ideas. And so what I want to do this week is to share some of those ideas that maybe we can use in distance learning, that we can use from afar, that we can use in modified plans. And I'm planning on sharing some of those things in just a minute. But before I do that, I want to do what I always do and share with you where you can find resources after the video is over or as we're going. So quick things. If you go to makemomentsmatter.org/video, or if you click Instagram, my link in profile, or if you click Facebook, the link at the bottom of the caption, you can find a link to a page on my blog that has all the resources, links, videos, books, things that I've talked about in this video. They'll all be posted there. Because this was a day where I was putting up things for my students to do and working on all of that and sort of replanning, rethinking. There's not as much on the links page right now, but I'm going to go back after the video is over and tomorrow and continue adding. And because there are a lot of resources popping up, which is great, and a lot of ideas that are coming out right now, because all that's happening in the next week, or 2 weeks or whatever, as I find more resources, I'm going to post those on my Facebook page, which you can find at David Rao at Make Moments Matter, or I also have, there's a Facebook group called Every Moment Matters Music Education Community, and I'm going to post all of those resources there. So as I find them, like, oh, this place is giving out a free subscription, or this place has this cool video, or did you know about this? It's all going to get posted there. So if you go to the links page right now and you're like, there's not a lot there. Yeah, well, there's there's not, but there's going to be in the coming days. So that's just a thing you should know about. And one more thing, if you've been watching the last couple weeks, North Dakota music educators, Mississippi music educators, I was going to come and see you all next week, but that's been canceled, sadly. And I hope to try again for next year in both your states, but we'll see with dates and all of that coming up. But I'm so sad, but understand, and hope to see you next year. Okay, so how do you plan for the coming weeks? How do you do all this? Before I get to any of that, I just want to say there is no right way to do this. There is no correct thing to do in this situation. And if anyone comes to you and says, you're not doing this right, they're lying, because they don't know, because no one has done this. So we are all in this together, and we're all trying to figure it out together. And so there is no right way, there is no wrong way to plan. You just need to do what you can, that you can do. Don't try and, overexert yourself trying to do everything. Don't do everything. Just do what you can do and do what's right for your students. A couple years ago, I taught, and some of you know this, but I taught in a charter school when I first moved to Michigan, and I was very, very unhappy. And by the end of the year, I was at the point where I was like, I'm just going to go work at Quick Trip, and it's going to be just great. I'm going to fill the soda machine. It'll be fine. And I was really frustrated, and there were a lot of reasons why. I won't go into that, but there are a lot of things. And one of the things that I kept coming back to all the time as I was frustrated was this idea that the students are more important than the music. Teaching the students is more important than teaching the music. And that's something I had to keep reminding myself over and over and over and over through that year. And it got me through the year. But after that year, it reoriented everything that I thought about education. And so as I make decisions now, as I've sat on curriculum building teams to help revamp music curriculums, I always think the student is more important than the music. And I mean, even if you think about it in a musical way, if you orient your teaching so that you are focused on the student, you are going to build people who love making music and who love music. And so if you are focused in on the student and what is best for them, then they are going to become music makers. And it's more important to think about their well-being and the best that you can have for them. So think about that as you're planning in the next few weeks. One of the things that I'm seeing is a lot of people like frantically like, what can I do? What can I do? Think about what you can do. Oh, and I'll talk about it in a second, priorities, but think about what you can do to get them good quality resources that are valuable for them. And part of that is getting your own preconceived notions and thoughts out of the way. So, for example, I had a concert scheduled for this Thursday. I have another concert scheduled for April 2nd. Neither of those are going to happen. I've been working on that music a long time. And because of the way I plan, the music that we are going to do for these concerts are just songs that we've sort of learned all year long. So some of the songs that were going to be in the concert for this week, we started in August. And it was like we learned it in August, had fun with it, and then we brought it back for the concert. So it's not like we've been doing that continuously since August, but like it's a lot of planning that you sort of just have to throw out the window. And in one way, like I just have to give that up. I can like mourn for a second, and then I have to give it up because it is more important for my students to think about moving forward and to think about how to use that music now in a new way than to think like, oh, am I planning? Well, yeah, but now I can change and do things in a different way. So some of our inhibitions we have to get out before we can move on. So things I'm thinking about as I'm planning in the coming weeks. The students are more important than the music, so let's figure out how we can teach the students music, but also do it in the ways that are best for them. And so the things that I'm thinking about are what is most important. If I were a parent at home with students, because I don't have kids at home, or if I were a kid at home, I'm trying to think about like, what are they going to do? And so part of my thinking is kids are sitting at home and they don't have a lot of stuff. It's sort of unplanned and quick. And so one of the things that I'm trying to think about is what can I do to keep kids busy and keep them thinking and engaged and going? So what are some fun activities that I can do that will keep them engaged and moving? And the other thing that I'm thinking about is this is an amazing chance for me to, outside of the standards or outside of the pressures of whatever and people testing and all that stuff, now I can think about how am I going to teach my kids to love music in this sort of cool, different way. What can I do to get them to really love and enjoy music? Watching music, making music, being a part of music, exploring the world of music. What can I do? And so those are the two sort of guiding things, keeping them busy and getting them engaged in loving music. Those are like, overarching things in my head as I'm planning for the coming weeks. So first of all, how? How do you teach them, right? So this is a tricky question, and it really depends on you and your school. So my school, we've been doing this thing for the last couple of years, planning for digital learning days. Like that's what we've been planning on. And part of the reason was if there's a snow day, they wanted to have a digital platform in place so that students could get on and still continue learning from home even if they're stuck at home, right? So that was our plan. And the plan, last year we had a couple days where it was like, we came to school, but we acted as if it was a digital learning day so that as they're in school, their teacher can be like, okay, we're going to log on Canvas. If you need help, I'll show you. But the lesson we're doing is in Canvas. And so it was like a digital learning day, but in school to teach them how to do it, right? We've done 2 or 3 of those where it's they come to school, but all of their assignments are online. It was a little frustrating as a teacher, but it was to teach them how to do it, right? And so our first chance to do an actual digital learning day, because we hadn't had any snow days last year, or yet this year, our first chance to actually do it and test out and see if it works was next Tuesday. So when all of the primaries were supposed to happen here in Georgia and our schools were getting used for voting, they were going to have students do a digital learning day. And it was going to be so great because teachers were still going to be at school and they could troubleshoot and we could call IT and so great. Well, guess what? We've not used digital learning before it even happened. So again, going back to that, if anyone says this is the way it's supposed to be, they're full of it because we've never done this before. So, what are you going to do? What's your platform? How are you going to reach out? My school invested in something called Canvas. Maybe your school has Canvas. Maybe they have Blackboard. Maybe they have some other sort of, they call them learning management systems. Those are great because then your student already has a login. They already have a way to access. They already have something. So for those of us who have Canvas or Blackboard or something like that, I know there are other programs like that. For those of us who have that, utilize that resource because it might be frustrating. They might go, well, there's an easier way. Well, but if they're going to use it for their homeroom, they're going to use it for art, they're going to use it for PE, then you need to use it also so that students can also just seamlessly transition into what you do. What if you don't have that? Well, it depends on your school. Some people, they're doing packets. Some teachers are emailing out. And so if that were the case, I would email something to all my second grade teachers to email it to parents and students or whatever. I would ride that train and get my assignments in there too. Or I would create something for a packet. And there are a ton of resources you can find online for that. But if you don't have like a Blackboard or a Canvas and you know that your students do have a digital option, try and find a way where you can create a really quick and easy website that they can go to and find resources. So, for example, I did a blog post a couple years ago, and it's on my website now. I'll put a link to it on the links page. And I'm not going to zoom y'all in because I'm going to turn this off in a second. But the blog is called Communicating with Parents, Teacher Blogs and Websites. And my blog post is about how you can communicate with parents. However, this can be modified to use for students. And down here it shows some of the content you might include if you're making a teacher website. But there's also a demo website from my site and also a little bit of guidance on what you should choose, what platform you would choose. And if I were you and you don't have a lot of web training and you don't have a lot of time or whatever, there are two websites, Weebly and Wix, that provide free site hosting. They have really easy templates, very easy to like pull in blocks for videos or pull in blocks for text or whatever. Weebly and Wix are two really simple, great, easy things. There's also a way to do it through Google, I think, but that's a little bit confusing for me. And Weebly and Wix are just so like seamless that I would go with those. Don't do WordPress, probably don't do Squarespace because they're a little bit more made for developers. So Weebly and Wix, and then on that site you could create a page just for first grade and one just for second grade and one just for third grade. You could post activities, you could post videos. I'm going to talk about some of the things you can post here in a second. But if you don't already have a learning management system like Blackboard or Canvas, try Weebly and Wix, and then you can create a quick and simple site. It could be like musicwithmrrao.weebly.com or whatever, and then I can send that out to parents and say check it every day or check it every few days and find, or check it out and see what you can find. And you can post all sorts of things on there, and we'll talk in a second about what you could post. What I would say, there are some other things like Flipgrid, Google Hangouts, Seesaw, and those are cool if you know how to use them. If you don't know how to use those, and if your school doesn't already use those, I wouldn't use those. This is the time where it's like, don't try anything new, because if you're like, here's this brand new thing, and I know you're not familiar with it, but like, it's so cool, but like, I would not do that, because how are you going to communicate to parents how to find it, how to use it? If they have to download an app or what, like if they don't already use it, I wouldn't use it now. It'd be cool like if you started at the beginning of the year and had all the parents sign up, and maybe at a concert you threw up an ad to say like, don't forget to download Seesaw because we're going to use it on digital learning. But like if you don't already have that in place, I would not do that. Weebly and Wix are so simple because you just send them to a website and then they can interface with the content from there. So that's why I would say use that over the others. If you do have access to Flipgrid or Seesaw or something like that, and your kids know how to use it and you know how to use it, awesome. But for people who maybe don't, I would say don't jump into that unless you really feel comfortable doing that. One other thing that I personally am staying away from, I am not doing live videos with my students. And there are a couple reasons for that. One of them is I don't know if my kids will actually watch them live. Like, I don't know if they would, because, you know, I have 6 grades, K through 5, and I have 1,200 students, and who knows if maybe one family has one computer. So from that period from 8 to 10, maybe that's just the time for the third grader, and then 10 to noon is the time for the second grader. If they have one computer or one device, they're sharing time. So if I'm only making a live only option, then I'm really limiting what kids can access and when. So I am going to talk about videos, but I'm not doing live videos because what if they only share one computer? And what about this other, what if they're having trouble accessing and they only have the live option? And what about they can't watch in real time and blah, blah, blah. If you want to do a live video and then post it later so they can watch it later, like I do with these videos, these Musical Mondays videos, that's an option. And you could have a live thing, but I'm not going to rely upon my students tuning in live and like checking, you know, like doing like a hangout sort of a thing where like they respond back to me. Because again, like, what if their computer freezes? What if, you know, I'm not getting any responses back from them? So I'm doing videos and things, but I'm not relying upon the live option, just because for me in this setting with the amount of kids I have and the kind of the elementary kids, it's just not feasible. If you're a high school teacher or college teacher, that might be different. But for me, I just feel like it's not an option. So I'm staying away from live. I'm doing pre-recorded videos. I'm doing videos I find online. I'm doing resources I know that are online, but I'm not doing live things. If you do decide to do videos, but you don't want to put them on Facebook or don't have a seesaw or something like that, you can do videos on YouTube. You can even do live videos on YouTube. You can sign up for free on YouTube. If you want to create videos just for your students, you can upload a video and you can make it unlisted. That means that only people who have the link can find it. You can't search for it on YouTube. Like, you can't search like David Rao and find it. Like my channel that's out there now, you can search my name and find my channel. But if I had like a video just for my students that I wanted only my students to see, I can put it on YouTube, so that's it'll be hosted on YouTube. But if I put it there and it's unlisted, only the people with the link can find it. And so, for example, I could take that video and I could link it to my Blackboard or Canvas or Weebly or Wix. I could put it there and then it would work. Or I could send it out in an email to parents and only the people who had the link could click through and find it. And for a lot of us, that's a really good option, because maybe you're like, I'm going to do these videos in my pajamas or whatever, and I want the whole world to see it. Well, then make it unlisted on YouTube. It's so simple and easy to upload to YouTube. And to put it there, and kids know YouTube. They know how to go through YouTube. And one of the cool things, if you're uploading a video to YouTube now, is that you can say, is this video created for children? And that's an option when you upload, and click yes, and then it won't put ads and pop-ups and things that are not appropriate for kids on your video. That's one of the reasons they did that on YouTube. And surprise, it just happens to be great for this situation where kids are going to be looking through YouTube and things. So if you make your video not for, or just for kids, or intended for kids, it will block out some of those things that maybe you don't want them to see. So, okay. So how? We talked a little bit. If you have Canvas, you have Blackboard, great. If you don't have that, and you use Flipgrid or Seesaw or something already, I would use that. If you don't already have any of that in place, Weebly and Wix are super simple and they're free, and a lot of times they do special things for educators. But for now, I would try one of those websites. Create something simple. So like don't overexert yourself trying to do anything crazy. Just make a simple website that kids understand and can see and find. And like I said, for me, I would make one page for each grade level. One for first, one for second, one for third, maybe one for my ukulele club, something like that, and then I'd move on. And then you can use YouTube and create unlisted videos to share with kids. Okay, what do you put on these things? What do you add into these lessons? Most of the things that I'm going to do, because I have access to Canvas, because I'm doing that, a lot of what I'm doing is digital. So I know some schools don't have that capability, they don't have that option, and then that becomes tricky. What do you do? For me, digital is an option and it's an expectation. And so our kids know, and when we left school, they checked out computers, they checked out devices so that they would have access. I just read that Comcast has opened up all their free hotspots for the next several weeks so that anyone who's at home can have that free internet access, regardless of whether they're a Comcast member, which is sort of cool. But we also have hotspots kids can take home, things like that, to give them that digital access. So we have digital capability. So what am I putting on there? I'm putting a lot of digital stuff. One of the things I'm doing is I'm using this as a chance so that kids can explore. So some of those things that we don't have time for in class, I'm giving them the chance to explore now. So for example, there's a link on my website. If you go to my website, makemomentsmatter.org, and on the top side of all these little drop downs, one of them, if you click the blue one that says links, down there through there's one that says technology links, And if you click technology links, it takes you to a whole page. This has been on my website for years and years, but all sorts of resources and things that you can use. And I'm planning to add more, and I'll post more to the Facebook page in the coming days. But on here, there are sites like Classics for Kids, which is a great one with information about composers, worksheets they can download, things like that. There's one called, let's see, where's the other one I love? San Francisco Symphony for Kids. That one is a brilliant resource because it has games, information, quizzes. They get to see instruments. They get to see how the orchestra works. So it's a time for kids to like explore online and find out more information. This is especially good for your kids who are like, I don't sing. Cool. Well, now you can go explore the orchestra, or you can like see how sound is made, or that science of sound unit I never have time for. I'm putting that online, or I'm going to have a link to whatever, or like this is a chance for them to explore and try. And so some of those, there are major orchestras around the world: Sydney Symphony, San Francisco, New York Phil. They have really cool kid sites that you can send kids to and let them explore and try. Those are some of the links I'm putting out there. There are some other fun sites like Incredibox. There are things that are interactive for kids where they can try and play and do things. If you're a Quaver person, I think that you can give kids access to Quaver. I've never tried it. I don't have Quaver access, but I know there's some things there. There are some other really cool music websites that work well that you can have access to. I'm going to post more about those on my Facebook page in the coming days for subscriptions, things like that. But like I said, I'm sending kids to explore like San Francisco Symphony and the Sydney Symphony and all those kid sites that they can go on and see more about. This is also an amazing chance. You would maybe not think, but this is an amazing chance to get kids excited about band because they're stuck at home and the band teachers are like tearing out their hair because this is like the season where they come in and like do the instrument petting zoo and like do the fittings for instruments. Like, well, oh no, like I'm supposed to have all my kids registered or whatever. So here's what I'm doing for my middle school band teachers, and they're excited about it. I'm sending kids. There are a couple of videos I really love. One is, let me see if I can pull it up here. Oh, also on my page on makemomentsmatter.org, on the blue link, way down at the bottom, there is a page called Videos for Students. And these are all videos. Let me see if I can zoom in here. These are all videos that explain musical concepts or are fun or funny or are just different kinds of things that you can use in class with kids. Well, guess what? Now I'm using them in this setting. So one, for example, down here under Instruments and Ensembles, love this video. This is from the Field Band, I think.
States Army Field Band instrument demonstration video. Today we are going to demonstrate the standard wind and percussion instruments used in the concert band. We'll start with the flute.
So on each of these,
I'm Staff Sergeant Pam.
The person comes up. By the way, this is free because it's the U.S. Army Field Band. So each person comes up, they explain a little bit about who they are, what they do, they explain their instrument, and then they give a couple examples.
Daniels, and this is a flute. The flute is one of the highest pitched instruments in the band. While it is a woodwind instrument, flutes are usually made of metal. This one is made of gold and silver. The sound is created by blowing across a small hole in the head joint here and pressing down these keys to change the notes.
So it's a really, really cool video, and it's really nice because it gives, like I said, it's about the instruments of the marching or a band, and it gives kids a chance to see those instruments in action, see actual people playing them. It gives a couple fun examples, and if you watch, like the bassoon player, he looks really stoic, but when he starts playing, it's just magical, and so it gives like 8 or 9 different examples. I always show it in class if like I have a sub or something else. It's a great video to throw out there, and this is perfect for like previewing those instruments in for your middle school band people, so that even if they can't like see them in person, they can see them now and hear them. Some other videos that I'm putting out there for instruments and things. There are some really fun videos by Lindsey Stirling, if you're at all aware of her. She's an amazing violinist who has an electric violin. The kids really love her. Super fun, sassy. There's some cool videos by her. Let's see. I love this video by the Canadian Brass. These are all free videos on YouTube. They do Fly to the Bumblebee. So, super fun videos, and like I said, this is on my website. This is makemomentsmatter.org, and there's under the blue tab, which says links, way at the top, you can scroll down to videos for students. All of these are videos that explain concepts, have different ideas. There's some fun ones for marching band, if you want to get kids really excited about marching band. There are movement and dance videos. There are just general interesting videos. There are sing-along videos, all sorts of videos on here that you might show to students just to get them excited and thinking about instruments, right? And this fits in with, like, if you wanted to like send them to the orchestra website for the San Francisco Symphony and then have them watch the Army Field Band video maybe on another day, it gets them thinking about instruments and how they can think about using instruments or playing instruments in the future when they're in middle school. So this is sort of helping out my middle school teachers who are freaking out, but also getting kids thinking about and excited about different kinds of instruments, things we've already talked about a little bit in class throughout the school year. So another thing you might think about is like, what videos can you use to reinforce concepts? So there are so many sing-along songs on YouTube. There are videos that you can like do to reinforce. There's another video on the website that is Bjork, the pop artist Bjork, and she sings this song called "It's Oh So Quiet." It's a hilarious video. She's at a car dealership or a tire place or something. And she sings and is quiet. So my kids who just learned dynamics, piano, and forte, I have them watch this video and then describe what they saw on the video. The best part is it starts out very quiet. So super fun video. Obviously kids are going to love that. And I love using that in class, but since we can't watch that in class, it's a great video that I can pull and now use in this setting. We talked about forte and piano. One of the fun integrations that I can use on my learning management system, Canvas, is my district also has access to Nearpod. I can have them do a lesson on Nearpod on loud and quiet dynamics, and then I can have them watch this video, and it's sort of a fun integration. So videos that you can use to reinforce concepts like the instruments of the orchestra or instruments of a band or different dynamics, things like that. There are fun videos like that, and on my webpage there are links to videos that you can already use. Or like my students who are going to miss their concert. Well, guess what? I can find video versions of the songs that we're going to do in the concert, or I can record myself doing the accompaniment and singing along, and then they can take that concert music that we would have missed, and they can actually do it for their parents. They can have their own mini concert, and they can explain, and they can talk about the songs that we did, or they can just have fun and sing along. So for example, my concert that should have been this week about the zoo, I found either video versions of all the songs, or I'm recording myself singing, or I have explanations or things that they can use with parents. Another concert that's coming up in 2 weeks was my Around the World, What a Wonderful World concert. Well, this is great because now I can find videos of native speakers of Korean singing Arirang to post on the website. The kids can say like, oh, that's the song we know. Let's listen to it in Korean. Or versions of Frere Jacques that they were going to sing anyway. Or Aisabai from Newfoundland that they were going to sing anyway. And I can find those versions, put them online, and parents can see and sing and watch and do all of that with their student. It's not as good as a concert. It's not as good as live. But it's fun for them to see that and get that connection. Okay, so another thing I just mentioned already is like videos of me. And I talked about that about YouTube just a second ago. But one of the things that I'm thinking about and planning about and doing a little bit more long-term planning, I brought home a ton of books from school. I have a ton of songs that I know that I can play my ukulele at home or play my piano at home and sing along. And I'm taking a little bit of care to make some videos. And so I am not going to wear my PJs. I'm like going to dress in like normal academic dress. And I'm going to sit here at home and record a couple hours of video in the next few days. Here's why. I can use it for these coming weeks, right? I can have a video of me reading a book that I can share with students, or a video of singing a song or introducing a song or remembering a song we've already done. And I'm going to do a slightly nice version of that. And I'm not going to say anything in the video about like, and now can you think about blah, 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 or and now check out that worksheet that's linked below, or and I'm not going to put any of that in, because if I do it well, I can use these videos for the next 20 years for my sub-plans. So if I take some nice videos now of like reading a book and explaining or doing a musical version of the book, then in a year when I'm gone to AOSA National Conference or whatever, my sub can play the video of me reading that book with the musical extension that I want on there. Or they can play the video of me introducing the song. If I have a sub who's like, I don't sing. Okay, well, guess what? I've got a high quality video that I spent, 5 extra minutes planning out, and I have that. And then in the sub plans later, I can have a video, and then in the sub plans I can say like, now hand out the worksheet or whatever. Or if I integrate that into a website below the video, I can say like, now click this link to view whatever. And if I make those nicer videos, they can be standalones later that I can pull out for a sub plan, I can pull out if my voice is lost, I can pull out for something else, and they will work in the coming weeks. So I'll demo one of those in just a second. So for example, one of the integrations that I'm doing like that is I'm doing a video of myself singing an Austrian wit yodeling. My kids just learned that. My third graders just did that this last week. And so I'm going to sing through the song at the piano the way I would if I had a class full of students. I'm going to just record myself doing it, and that will be the standalone video. And then with that, I'm pairing a few other videos to sort of flesh out the lesson. So in the song Austrian Wit Yodeling, there's this Austrian, he goes yodeling in the mountain. If you don't already know it, he sings a little bit of a yodel tune, and then we talk about the things he meets, like an avalanche and a bear and whatever. But kids have a very narrow understanding of yodeling. So I found these videos online that I'm going to pair with this, and along with that I have this little paragraph that says, what is yodeling? Let me see if I can zoom in here. Sorry, this is my FaceTime camera, but you can hopefully see. What is yodeling? And there's a little video that says, most experts agree that yodeling is blah, blah, blah. Okay, so then there's a video of this famous yodeler, Franz Lang, known as the Yodel King. So then they can see this actual yodeler singing and yodeling. Kids think this is hilarious because it is a little bit. It's a little bit fun. So kids love that. When I show it in class, they freak out and they think it's hilarious. Then I show this video of the Walmart yodeling kid, which was a sensation, last year? So kids love this too because they either have seen it online already, or they see that it's in a Walmart and they're like, I've been there, or they know that it's a kid. They love this because they love all the connections they can make. And so I say right up here, Walmart yodeling kid. Yodeling has changed and evolved over the years. Oftentimes you'll find country singers yodeling in their song. This little boy, Mason Ramsey, was videotaped in a Walmart doing his version of a famous song by the famous singer Patsy Cline. So there's that, and then he sings on Ellen, right? And then Ellen pulls some strings and he gets to sing at the Grand Ole Opry. So then I get to show the video of that. So in this lesson, I have me singing a song they know or a song that they could know. I have an extension of what is yodeling traditionally with an actual singer who sings the actual sort of contextual thing, which I could never do. So technology sort of saving me and making a cool thing there. Then I'm making a connection to a kid who's actually singing and something that is more pop culture that kids love to see because they just love seeing that connection. And then I'm showing them the Grand Ole Opry. So there are so many connections in this lesson that I could never have done if it were just me alone in a classroom with students. So in that sort of respect, this is a cool opportunity to give them so much more context and understanding. And I'm doing that by pulling together a bunch of resources that sort of flow together. And like I said, if I do this right, I can pull these resources again in a year and use them for a sub-plan. So I'm just pulling all that together. It's getting posted on Canvas with those short little snippets in between of written text and then the videos together on the theme. And that is a standalone lesson for one of my grades. I'm doing a couple different versions of those, but pulling all the resources now, getting all those links and all those things together is something that I can use again for subplans as needed. So that was just an example of one of the grades that I'm doing that you could try and build something else on. And there are a couple other ideas that I'm going to be sharing in the next week on my Facebook page of like, you could pair these 4 things together. So be watching for those and check that out on my Facebook page, which is David Rao at Make Moments Matter on the Facebook. And it's linked on the links page. I'm also taking videos of me reading books. And a lot of, some people like copyright, which yes, totally copyright. You need to think about that and be careful about copyright. But so many companies and authors are saying, please go ahead and read my books. Mo Willems is doing a super cool, if you don't know Mo Willems, he's an amazing children's author. Mo Willems is doing a lot of live things. Peter H. Reynolds is doing a lot of fun live things. There are so many authors who have already done really cool things and put their resources out there who are saying, yes, please read my books. Please share them with kids in this time. We want them to be readers. We want them to be engaged and are okay with that. But check on copyright, check with all that. And then also just think, this is sort of a grace period. So if you do a video now and you find out in a week or two, like, no, that company or that author doesn't want you to do it, pull it down. But right now, in this moment, I'm taking some videos of myself reading books that I'm going to share on those unlisted closed videos with students in my school. So what are some books that I'm doing? I'm doing books where I'm going to sing the song. So for example, I have all my Thanksgiving books here because I was going to do a blog post about it. So my kids are going to hear me sing Over the River and Through the Woods as I read through the book and share with them. They're going to see me do simple gifts as I sing through and share with them. And if you're like, oh, that's a cool idea, but I don't have books at home, there are some really amazing videos on YouTube already of of teachers reading books to their homeschool group or to kids or authors reading the book themselves. So you can find some of those books online and just share links if that's something you want to do. I'm also sharing some books that have musical themes. So other books I have at home like Dan the Taxi Man. Thanks Karen for that one. Or Zara and the Amazing Spaceship. There's a video of this book as well from the original author that's really fun. I'm going to be singing Don Gato to certain grades. And this book took me forever to find this. It's out of print and it's a fun little book based on an actual folk song. I traced the history of that one. It's super old. It's a weird history, but it's a fun book. Tubby the Tuba is another one I'm going to read to students. And some of them is just like, maybe I don't have a full-fledged lesson on it, but because it's musical and because it's fun, I'm adding musical elements and it's giving my kids something to listen, something new, something different as we go through the school year. One I shared about last week, if you already have Wendell the Narwhal, I shared about Wendell and I shared about my narwhal puppet and the lesson you could do. And like I said, there is that other video. So if you read Wendell and you do a little bit of conducting with Wendell the puppet or not, there's also that video on Minnesota Public Radio about who a conductor is, what a conductor does. And that's also linked on the links page where you can share the book and then show an actual conductor, a female conductor, and she shows them how to do a beat pattern, gives a little bit of context. It's a super fun video. Again, another free resource available on YouTube. Okay, and then a couple more books that I'm really excited about. So I love Drum Dream Girl. I shared about this at the beginning of the school year when I was talking about Hispanic Heritage Month. Beautiful book. This one is about, based on a true story about a girl who lived in Cuba, right? And she's Chinese African descent, a Cuban girl who broke the traditional taboo against female drummers. And so this one is going to be a fun one to read to my students about drumming, about her story and her life, and again to encourage women to participate more, to not feel like, oh, I have to follow this oppressive idea that I can't do this. No, you can do it. You can try it. You're going to be good at it. So that's a fun book that I'm going to read, again, based on a real true story, talking about musical concepts. And then there's this one that I'm going to pair with it called Drum City. This is by Thea Goudon. And a lot of you have probably seen this before, but I wanted to share why I'm going to do this one. Drum, drum, boy in the yard, drumming so hard, calling all kids to come drum in the yard. Drum on some kettles and cans, here they come. They run to the beat of the drum. Drum, bowls and buckets, cartons and cans, barrels and bins and pots and pans, mops on pails and rusty old nails, a frolicking, rollicking ruckus of rumbling drums. So if this is not the perfect lead into like, hey, what can you find around your house, parents permitting? What can you find around your house that could be a drum or could be a musical instrument? Like, this is the perfect, like, your assignment for the next 10 minutes is to go and look for a way that you can create a rhythm on a found instrument. Like, this is a perfect book for that. So that's going to be one of the ones that I share. Because I'm an ORF teacher and so much of what we do is music and movement, I wanted to include some books that are movement specific, that give kids a chance to move and do some of that in their home. And one of the books I love is called Stretch. This is by Doreen Cronin and Scott Minchin. And I'll read just a part of this. Stretch with me, hands in the air. Count to 3, hold it right there. Stretch up high for a snack in the trees. Stretch out wide for a ride on the breeze. Can you stretch to the ceiling? Can you stretch to the floor? So this is a fun book that if kids are reading this at home, this is a chance for them to get up and do that and to get out of their chair and to stretch. And when kids, I'm sure, are feeling confined at home, there's a chance for them to do a little bit of movement. Another one that I just got this week that I love is called Earth Dance. This is by Joanne Ryder, illustrated by Norman Gore Beatty. And I'll read again just the first page or two. Imagine you are standing tall in an empty space. Stretch your arms out wide and slowly spin around. Imagine you are growing taller than the trees, taller than the hills, head high in the sky. You are growing so large, so tall, no one can see you. All of you now. So it's this fun book, and it takes them through all these imaginative, like fun, like what if, how could you make your body do that? How could you change? And it's such a fun book to get kids to move and to think about different ways to move. And it's all based around the earth. This would be fun for Earth Day or if you're doing something on the environment. But it's a super fun book to get them to move and to stretch and to rethink and to do a little bit of expressive movement. One more book that I love, Giraffes Can't Dance, I'm going to show you in just a second, but I've also got to show you this app that a really good friend of mine shared with me at a Kodai workshop. Oh my gosh. Okay, so it's called Novel Effect, and I will link that on the links page. But what it does is it has this library of all of these books, and I'll show you what it does. It's changed my life. So I found Giraffes Can't Dance. I downloaded it to my device. And now, as I read, Novel Effect will create sounds to go with the story. So let me press play. And it's going to listen to me read. It's not on a time track. It's listening to me so it hears the cue words. Giraffes Can't Dance by Giles Andre, illustrated by Guy Parker Reese. Gerald was a tall giraffe whose neck was long and slim, but his knees were awfully crooked and his legs were rather thin. He was very good at standing still and munching shoots off trees, but when he tried to run around, he buckled at the knees. I hope you can hear those amazing sounds. Now, every year in Africa, they hold the jungle dance, where every single animal turns up to skip and prance. And this year, when the day arrived, poor Gerald felt so sad, because when it came to dancing, he was really very bad. The warthogs started waltzing, and the rhinos rock and rolled. The lions danced a tango that was elegant and bold. So I hope you can hear that. It is adding all of the music to coincide with the book. It doesn't move on until it hears you say the next words. It knows the book and it knows when to add in the new sounds. It is crazy cool. And it makes your read-along that much more exciting. The reason I wanted to share this book is because Gerald, they make fun of him and he has this realization that you need to have whatever music speaks to you is the music that will help you dance. And he loves to listen to the sounds around him, and it goes, listen to the swaying grass and listen to the trees. To me, the sweetest music is those branches in the breeze. And so he's inspired by the sounds he hears around him, so that could be a lesson connection for you. But my favorite part at the end, it says, then he raised his head and looked up at the moon and stars above. We all can dance, he said, when we find music that we love. So you could make this connection about find music in your house, find sounds in your house, listen to something around you, turn on the TV and dance to whatever sounds you hear. You could have them pull up a playlist or put on a CD or something and make a dance that matches that movement. But it gives you so many chances, even at home, for kids to do that. And the app that I shared was Novel Effect. I'll put that on the links page. It is free. You don't have to pay a subscription. It's crazy. It's so cool. Thank you, Marty Parker, for showing me that at a Kodai workshop. An amazing app, and it's changed my world. It doesn't have all the books in the world. It only has some, but it's really, really great. And a lot that you can just search through, or if you have the book, you could, okay, it's not a side B. You can search for the book, but there are a lot of really cool things on there. Okay, I shared a bunch about those books. Some more things for support, because I'm running out of time. Some more things for support. Where can you find resources? Honestly, it feels like too many places right now. Like everywhere is sharing so many resources, and that's good, but also a little bit overwhelming. So what I'm doing is, if I see a resource and I'm like laying in bed, I like screenshot it, or laying in bed, laying on the couch, catching up on TV or whatever. Or I take a screenshot, I file it away, and then in the morning when I'm doing my schoolwork, I pull that back out and think like, ooh, cool, I can use this. So a lot of places are giving out free memberships for things, like Noteflight, and I can't tell you all the others that are on top of my head. I'm going to post those on my Facebook page in the coming days, so look for more of those resources that you can use. I would say join literally any Facebook group. There are a couple cool new Facebook groups that have been created just for e-learning at home, collaborating, finding ways to share with students. Those groups are great to join. They're free on Facebook. Another great place you can go and should go is the American North Shulverick Association, which is the National Association of Music and Movement Teachers. If you don't already know about AOSA, you should, but one of the reasons that you should join is because on the member side of our website, there are hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of videos and resources and everything that you can use for your own professional development if you want to use this time for that. You can take lesson ideas and resources if you want that. We've been posting a lot of things in the last few days about resources and things you can do at home, games you can do at home, how to create videos to share with your students. So many cool resources. So join AOSA, check out the member side, but even if you don't join right now, check out our social media because there are some really cool links that we've been pushing out in the last couple days. And then one more thing I would say is, like, if you're looking for support and help, go to your Facebook group first of all, just go to the people that you trust. For me, that's going to Aileen Miracle. It's going to AOSA, the American North Shulverick Association. It's going to any of those people that I know are great resources. And seeing what they're posting, going to my Facebook groups that I know are good, and instead of going on and saying, help, 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 how do you blah, 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 instead of doing that first, I search the group, because probably 18 other people have already asked that in most cases, unless you're like, I live on a small remote island off the coast of Tunisia or whatever. I'm near Tunisia, but I'm not, unless that's the case, probably a lot of people have asked it, and it clogs up the groups if you keep asking over and over. So do a quick search of like, what website do I use, or what's this thing, or free apps, or something, and you'll probably find a lot of resources. Or just scroll through before you post. Scroll through and see what other people have done. But I go to those and I do a search through, and if I can't find what I need, then I'll ask a question. If you go to my Facebook group, Every Moment Matters Music Education Community, you can find a lot of those things already and great resources there. And then just ask. No one knows how this works. This is new for everyone. Even the people who are like, we had a digital learning contingency plan in place. My district did, but we had not fully implemented it, and we thought that it would be like, at most, 3 days in a row, and then you can go back to school and like regroup, right? We didn't think, oh, it's for the next 2.5 weeks at minimum. So just ask. All of us are learning. All of us are coming together. The other thing I would say right now, again, also for copyright, if you're wondering about reading books, if you're wondering about videos, if you're wondering about worksheets from someone, go and ask that author. Go and ask that company. Everyone is sort of coming up with plans, pulling together right now to get those answers for you. But a lot of people are saying, yeah, just use it. We're all trying to figure this out. We don't want you to, freak out. Go ahead and use it. But ask your questions. Last thing I want to say, you don't have to do it all. You don't, I promise. And don't panic. Remember your goals. Remember that teaching the kid is more important than teaching the music. Giving the kids something to do to keep them interested, to keep them engaged, to keep them moving, that is more important than saying like, how am I going to assess this? No one cares. Like, there are states right now that are like, we're scrapping testing. We're just not going to do it. There's no way. Unless and if your administrator comes to you and says, I need you to have an accessible whatever, be like, okay, how do you propose I do that? I mean, this is the time to ask that, because we're all sort of troubleshooting. So don't sit there and freak out about how you're going to get it done. Just do the things that you know you can do. Do the simple things first. Prioritize, and then if you come against problems, ask, reach out for help, and then relax, because there's nothing you could have done to prepare for this or to prevent this or to do any of that. Just, we have to react, and we're all working on it together. And also ask your class, this is another thing I was thinking about today. Ask your grade level peers, like your first grade teachers and second grade teachers, like, what online platforms are you using? How are you using that? Because even if you're like, I don't really like that as much, you could find some really cool resources from them. But also, if they are connecting with their students daily and you need to connect with your students who are their students, you can piggyback off of some of the things that they are doing or using and use that for your lessons too. Because if they've already found that it's working and their students know it, then their students will know it when you use it too, if that makes sense. So if they're using a Weebly site and they can link to you, or they can throw a connection to you, or in that email they can add your link or whatever, connect with those classroom teachers so that you can piggyback off of the great things that they're doing. Okay, one last thing, because it's almost time to go. In the coming days, on my Facebook page and in my group, Every Moment Matters Music Education Community, I'm going to be posting just lots of stuff. And so hopefully resources and idea and videos and things you can connect that you can use in your own lessons and your own space at home. So join those, check those out, keep coming back. You'll find more resources. But again, I go back to that. What do I have to do? Teaching the student is more important than teaching the music. So just thinking about my students' well-being, and then remembering, this is something I learned a couple years ago when I worked at a camp, and it was a camp for abused children, and we came up against a lot of just problems every day and emotional reactions, and it was a high stress and high emotion. And one of our mantras was, "Blessed are the flexible, for they shall not break." And so if something doesn't work exactly the way you planned, that's okay. Learn from it, move on. Try something else. Try add another thing. Try another way to do it. There are lots of different options. You've got lots of help. You've got lots of resources. Just take those genuine opportunities and use them the best you can. Okay, I'm going to, again, Facebook, I don't know why I did this. I've seen no questions. So if anyone's added any questions or comments for the past hour, I've seen none of it. So I'm going to go in and try and answer any of those questions if you've asked them. And in the coming days, you'll find more resources on my Facebook page coming from my blog. And if you're interested and you're on Instagram or listening to this through the podcast and you're like, but I don't know how to contact, you can email me at makemomentsmatter@gmail.com. I'm going to be checking my email, or you can message me through any of those platforms, and I'll try and get back to you as soon as I can. We're all in this together. Reach out to your friends. Don't worry. Don't freak out. We're going to have a great couple weeks trying different things, trying new things. Okay, I hope this was helpful. Thanks so much for coming along with me. And like I said, if you're needing help, reach out. But I'll be sharing more in the coming days. So I hope I'll see you more in the next few days. All right, good luck, everyone. Have a great night. Bye, Facebook. Thanks so much for coming along with me. Have a great night, everyone.